I'm going to save that pickup line in my storage for later on. Even in a mustache, you would look cute. Yes, my thoughts on the 8th episode of Kageki Shojo. So let's jump into it. So yeah, a lot of romance in the air. I really did love this particular episode. We kind of open up really quickly with Sarasa and I are heading back to the school. And on the way, obviously, I is seeing that Sarasa is still a little bit unsure of herself. And that's when she tells her, it was a really goofy moment. I mean, we don't really get silly moments from I. So to have her kind of do this whole moment where she's like, I'm going to use my superpowers to read your mind. Even if you can't walk on the stage of Kabuki, I'm hoping eventually you'll walk on the stage with me. Throw over the bridge, specifically the bridge of the review. So kind of that, obviously, the bridge that they're all shooting for, where the top stars only go. So that was really cute, again, to see this kind of more silly side of Ai as she's slowly opening up to Sarasa. When they get back to the school, they see that Hoshino has actually cut her hair. We've already kind of gotten the idea that she is shooting for the male roles, so eventually she's going to have to cut her hair, even though, yes, very beautiful with her long hair. She's got to eventually cut it. But surprisingly enough, we actually get a full kind of backstory with her. This is like a full episode just devoted to Hoshino and her story. Obviously, beforehand, we knew that her mother and her grandmother were both revue players. Her grandma specifically was a very famous one. And this really does seem to be the key point in her character storyline as we get this little glimpse of her going back to her hometown. Obviously, there's a lot of gossip when she was in school about the fact that she was, always covering herself up. She always walked around with an umbrella. And all of this was because she can't get a tan. Obviously, just before this whole backstory, we get a glimpse that she's upset at Sarasa and I because they got a tan while they were out on their vacation. But this is similar to what she's always kind of set herself. They can't have a tan, so she always walked around with an umbrella. But her story really does kind of kick around the idea that she has been trying out to become a part of the Kyoka schooling, or trying out for Kyoka for a long time, as the point in which she finally got in was her 4th and final time that she had a chance to actually join the school, and which was obviously a little bit upsetting to her because she's always been kind of under the spotlight from a lot of people and the expectations that were placed upon her just because of her grandmother and her mother. And what was cute as we learn this about her, they tell a little bit of a cute romance story between her and a boy named Rikuto Suji. And what I got a kick out about Suji was that the moment that he opened his mouth, I'm like, this guy is going to be important because of his seiyuu. His seiyuu is very popular. So yeah, it was a really cute story because what we get from their perspective is essentially this blossoming love between the two of them as he kind of, they kick it off really quickly because there's a girl that's trying to get him to give a love letter to his brother, who is a famous baseball player. And what she ends up seeing in him is his, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not my brother's keeper. The school wouldn't like it anyways. And what you're getting from that is that there is a tie with him with somebody popular, and people are speaking through him. And this is something that obviously Hoshino has experienced. Everybody speaks through her about the great parents that she has, the great grandmother that she has. And this is troubling for her. And so she opens up to him, and they both kind of kick it off. And they have these cute little regular meetings as she goes to the town, gets on a bus, and goes to see her grandmother at the hospital because she's getting like a kidney stone removed. And every time that he kind of texts her, hey, when's the next time you're going to come by to see your grandma so I can meet you at the bus stop again? And grandma at some point points out, man, you're visiting quite a lot. I like this. It's like, yeah, she's trying to meet this boy because what's odd about this and interesting at the same time is that she's drawing comparison in his experience with her experience. And that's the bond, that similarity that they both experience is what kind of makes her want to speak with him. But what's sad is the very end of this whole story, as they meet with each other over and over again, she tells him about the Kyoka, the thing that she's aiming for, which is to be the male roles, talking about how she's, can't be tan. She's wearing skirts now because she won't be able to later. Eventually, she'll have to wear a mustache, and that's where that goofy joke came in. Even if in a mustache, you'd look cute. All these cute little moments between the two of them where she's always felt kind of outed because she's always so focused on training and she doesn't get to have the normal schoolgirl life. He's the only one that's ever really kind of approached her and also said that she's cute. So this obviously throws her off a lot. But it's really sad because eventually they go out to the festival together and he kind of vents his frustration to her about, everybody always had the expectation that I was going to get into baseball because my brother was a major leaguer. And so I just went into it because I wanted to fulfill their expectations. And this throws her off because she's like, she just got done talking to her grandma who had the expectation that she's been doing this because she wants to come in line with the family. And her grandmother told her, you shouldn't have to push yourself so much. If there's something else you want to do in your life, you should do it. And this angers her because she feels like everybody's telling her, don't do this because it's expected of you. And she's like, don't throw me in the same boat as you. I'm doing this because I want to do it. And she ends up leaving him. But it was really cute because he had this whole scene where she ends up seeing him on TV winning a game, and she freaks out and jumps in front of the TV in front of everybody and all crying over it because she's happy for him. And they had this little cute moment at the end where he puts posts something on the wall at the bus stop, and it basically somebody takes a picture and it goes viral about how he's basically waiting for her and stuff. So just a way super cute episode to kind of follow Hoshino's life and what she's kind of gone through. It was interesting at one point the way that Hoshino kind of puts it, because yes, a lot of the focus of this episode is on, following in a legacy and living to the expectations that others place upon you. All those expectations are heavy on her. At some point, she kind of puts it to Suji that she wishes she can be more like these other people, that they claim that they're going to achieve something when there's no guarantees in it. Because she herself sees this as something where there's no guarantees. This is something that is difficult. She acknowledges the difficulty of what she is doing, and whereas the others don't do that. And it was so sad in this is that I understand the way that she's viewing it, and this is definitely something that will prevent you from ever feeling like you failed, because you had the expectation that the failure was there. It's less impactful, but at the same time, there is an argument to be made in the idea that if you're not willing to go there with the expectation that you will achieve it, you have already lost. Like, you have already accepted that there will be a failure, and thus you are more prone to that failure. Whether if you go in there with full expectation you will achieve it, your performance will be that of an achiever. So yeah, it is obviously a conundrum that you really do face. The failure is more difficult, but at the same time you go in with the expectation of winning. But I do like that was something that they did technically address with that particular scenario. I did also gain a lot of respect for Kaoru Hoshino specifically in this episode, because something that they go out of their way to show is at some point while she is attempting her fourth time to get into the Kyoka, a girl that comes in that knew Hoshino back when they trained together was somebody that got in the first time she attempted it, and she was visiting the particular school that she was training in. And something that kind of gossips that she overhears paints us a picture that essentially, even though in the first episode, Hoshino comes in, she's with her mother, who was a famous actor, and they point out the fact that her grandmother was extremely famous. It gives you this indication that she is somebody that was just kind of shooed in because of her legacy. But in actuality, what they're pointing out here is that based on the idea that she has failed 3 times and she's going for her final chance at it, this is something that you can't get in with just connections alone. This isn't something where they go, oh, your grandma was great, come on in. It's something that they themselves, their own talent, has to get them in the door. So it does paint a better picture for Hoshino for us, and the idea that she wasn't handed this. This is something that she has been striving for, and it was a difficult uphill battle for her. So yeah, overall, great episode. Very cute. Love this kind of romantic twinge that it had to it. Was just so adorable seeing them together and their experience and their conversations. Loved it to death. And I really wasn't expecting something like this. I honestly was really thinking that the show would kind of move forward quickly, just because the cast itself is pretty large. So to think that we're actually going to give some actual attention to each one of these characters gives me pause to it coming to a decent conclusion with this arc or this core. But at the same time, I love getting more in these characters. It's like that conundrum of, do I want to see that come to some kind of conclusion overall, or do I want these really great stories of each character? I'm kind of liking these stories, so I'll take what I can get. But that's my thoughts on episode 8 of Kageki Shojo. Hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of this episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Support us on Patreon if you can, and y'all take care.